Today Ukraine elite troop brutal destroy 44 convoy Russian mercenary tank as flee Volodar. Incredible footage from inside a trench on Ukraine's brutal front line shows a soldier getting down a Wagner mercenary. Hails of bullets and shells fly overhead in the Call of Duty-style clip as a defender fights back a ferocious Russian onslaught believed to be filmed near the war-torn eastern city of Bakhmut. He blasts RPGs at the attackers. Scorched earth flies through the air as Russian forces return fire with volleys of bullets at the soldier's position. He then ditches the grenade launcher and grabs an assault rifle darting through a trench system. But just yards away alone, Russian stalks interview as he appears ready to bleach the trenches, unaware of the Ukrainian presence. The orange armband, wearing attacker menacingly zeros, is gunned downwards, but the defender pulls the trigger, unleashing 7 shots at the white trouser. Mercenary in footage too graphic to show. He buckles to the ground after being struck from the side in the hail of bullets. The Ukrainian then charges back to his original position and continues in loading automatic gunfire the attackers as they charge across the snow-covered battlefield. A comrade can be seen sheltering in cover amid the hellish firefight as it rages on. The video shared on the Telegram messaging service gives an insight into the savage onslaught of Putin's murderer-packed guns-for-hire army Wagner Group, which has around 50,000 men, have launched relentless attacks on Bakhmut in recent weeks. The group first appeared in eastern Ukraine in 2014, when Putin began backing Russian separatists in the Donbass region. The private paramilitary that has since cropped up in conflicts in Syria and across Africa was formed by Putin. Crony Yevgeny Prigozhin, nicknamed Putin, shot. Prigozhin recently boasted of turning rapist convicts into real cannibals to fight in Ukraine, murderers and sex offenders from some of Russia's most notorious prison camps or among the volunteers signing up for Putin's doomed war in Ukraine. The prisoners are told they will be offered their freedom in a personal pardon from Putin if they last 6 months at the frontline in Ukraine. Ukraine has descended into brutal trench warfare where soldiers fight and die for just inches of land. The brutal, bloody warfare has been compared to the horrific mud-churned battlefields of World War I. Pictures show soldiers digging in across the Eastern Front, with particularly savage fighting in Volodar and Bakhmut. Trench networks are also being dug in areas such as Kherson and Zaporizhia. Ahead of more attacks by the Russians, Ukraine has described the bodies of the Russians as simply piling up in the muddy bolt holes. But this slogging, grinding warfare is not what many had expected to see in the 21st century. It feels like the pictures and stories of the front line could be from more than 100 years ago. NATO intelligence said Russia is losing as many as 2,000 men for every 100 yards gained in human wave assaults in Ukraine. Putin's troops are suffering almost World War I levels of attrition and with success rates of a matter of meters. Said Paid Defense Secretary Ben Wallace. Experts believe the Russians' failure to gain their superiority combined with Putin's impatience has led to this meat grinder. Putin has a large air force with advanced planes and weapons at his disposal, but instead the war is being fought nearly hand-to-hand, street by saint, and inch by inch. Balance forces haven't been able to make use their fighter jets and strategic bombers. At the start of the war, many pilots who did fly sorties over Ukraine were humiliatingly shot down. It is feared, however, this could change in the coming weeks with the possible air assault and missile builds to coincide with land's new festive. In this week's Ukrainian soldiers were immutable training for more trench warfare. Brigadier Benberry, who served in the British Army, said satellite imagery shows how Russian troops have turned to setting up vast networks of ground defenses. And he added the Russia will actually looking to the battlefields of the Soviets fighting the Nazis in World War II for their tactics. At great effort, Russia has been building big linear networks of anti-tank defenses, dragons, teeth, ditches and creating sort of all-around defensive hedgehogs. Key road junctions and towns, he said, with the launch of the Military Balance 2023 report by the International Institute for Strategic Studies, ISS. Postral. What we can't see is the extent to which both sides have actually fortified towns.